I was 10 years old when they took our home. I remember that morning, the smell of toast burning because Mom was distracted, the sound of Dad flipping through the newspaper like he did every day, and Lily humming under her breath as she braided her hair. It was normal, safe, the kind of morning you don't think about until it's gone forever. Then the knock came. 3 sharp raps on the door, the kind that doesn't ask, it tells. Dad answered, and there they were, 2 men in stiff suits holding papers like they were holding a gun. I didn't understand the words at first. Eminent domain, relocation, 7 days, but I understood the way Mom's hand shook when she reached for Lily's shoulder, the way Dad's voice got quiet, the way it did when he was trying not to yell. They were taking our house. Just like that, for a week. We packed in a daze. Dad made calls, begged, argued, nothing worked. The government doesn't care about a family of 4 when there's a railway station to build. The money they gave us wasn't enough for a new place in the city, so we loaded everything into Uncle Jim's pickup and drove until the skyscrapers turned into fields. The countryside was supposed to be fresh air and open land. That's what Dad said. But when we rolled into Millfield, all I saw was a town that had forgotten how to care. People watched us from porches, some pitying, most just curious. And then there was Richard Blackwell. You could tell he owned the place just by the way he stood. Big house, bitter smile, the kind that made you feel small. Dad talked to him with his shoulders hunched, hat in hand, words I never heard him say before. We'll take anything, sir. Blackwell gave us a rotting cabin near the Southfields. In return, Dad would work his land, Mom would clean his house, and Lily would help in the kitchen. She was 15. She didn't complain, not even when the wind whistled through the cracks in the walls that first night, or when I whispered, "Are we poor now?" She just pulled the blanket over both of us and said, "It's temporary." But it wasn't. That cabin was where everything started, where I learned that some men don't see people, they see things to use, where I learned that justice isn't something the world gives you. You have to take it, and I dared, just not yet. The cabin was so cold that winter, the wind kept coming through the walls like it wanted to play with us. Mom said spring would make it better, but spring took forever to come. Every morning we woke up when it was still dark. Dad went to work in Mr. Blackwell's fields. His hands got all rough and sore. Mom cleaned the big house until her knees hurt. Lily worked in the kitchen, but Mr. Blackwell kept asking her to stay late. I got to take care of the chickens and collect eggs. I started noticing Lily was different. She didn't laugh anymore. Not like before. Sometimes she would just stare at nothing, holding onto the table like she was scared. One night I heard her crying really quiet, the kind of cry when you don't want anyone to know. I asked what was wrong. She just told me to go back to sleep. Mr. Blackwell's men watched Lily all the time, especially Grady, who was in charge of the workers. He always found reasons to touch her arm or stand too close. Lily would freeze up when he did that, like a scared animal. Dad saw it too. His face would get dark when a man looked at Lily, but he never said anything. He just walked more and came home smelling like whiskey. Then one night Grady caught me by the barn. He smelled bad like always. "Your sister makes Mr. Blackwell real happy," he said with a yucky smile. "You should be thankful." He gave me a coin. It felt hot and heavy in my hand. I knew what it meant. I ran to find Lily. She was planting flowers in the garden. When she saw my face, she knew right away. "He paid you too," she said, not asking, just saying. I showed her the coin. She took it and threw it down the well. It made a big splash. I'd never seen Lily look so mad before. The next day, Mr. Blackwell noticed. He always noticed everything. Dad came home with a hood lip and less money. Grady said it was because Dad was insolent. Mom's cooking suddenly wasn't good enough. And Lily, they made her work nights at the big house. I waited up for her. When she came back, her dress was ripped a little. She didn't cry. She just looked at me with old eyes and said, "Don't tell." So I didn't. That's why I learned how loud silence can be. Things got worse after that. Mr. Blackwell played mean games. He'd make Lily stand in the room while he talked about her like she wasn't there. "Pretty little thing," he'd say. "Too bad about her family." I started hiding things. A knife under my bed, a sharp piece of metal from the barn. I didn't know why yet, but it made me feel safer. Then came the harvest party. Everyone in town came. There was so much food. Mr. Blackwell acted like he was king, giving kids coins and laughing aloud. Lily was serving drinks. I saw how Mr. Blackwell watched her. Then he grabbed her arm right in front of everyone. "Smile for us, darling," he said. Everything got quiet. Lily looked scared. Dad stood up, but Grady pushed him back down. And no one did anything. Mr. Blackwell laughed and let Lily go. She ran to the kitchen. I followed her. She was breathing fast like she couldn't get enough. We have to go away, I said. Where? She asked. I didn't have an answer. That night I couldn't sleep. I could still hear the party outside, the laughing and music, and under it all, my sister crying. The next morning I decided to do something. When everyone was busy, I went to the barn, where Mr. Blackwell kept his favorite horse. The baby animal looked nervous when I came close. I didn't hurt it, just opened the door and smacked its side. The horse went wild through the party. Food went flying, glasses broke, people screamed and ran. Mr. Blackwell turned red yelling. I thought I'd feel happy. I didn't, because when Mr. Blackwell couldn't find who did it, he heard Dad instead. Grady and two men dragged Dad outside. Mom screamed. Lily tried to help, but Mr. Blackwell hit her so hard she fell. I just stood there watching them beat my dad. After they left, Mom and Lily helped Dad inside. I looked at my hands. They were clean, but I still felt dirty. Later that night, Lily found me outside. I'm leaving, she whispered. I grabbed her arm. No, she showed me some papers. I took these from Mr. Blackwell's office. They prove he's cheating people. If I show someone in the city, they'll hurt you, I said. She touched my face. Maybe, but I can't stay. I begged her not to go, but Lily had decided. She left before the sun came up. I watched her walk away into the fog. I didn't know it then, but that was the last time I saw my sister. That morning I woke up extra early. The house felt wrong without Lily. Normally I'd hear her singing while brushing her hair, but today was quiet. My big sister was gone. Father's face still looked puffy when he sat down. We have to find her, he said in a funny voice. The lady who takes care of us nodded and put some food in a napkin. We all went different ways to search. Father went toward the stores. The nice lady took the road near the big field. I was supposed to stay close to home, but when no one was looking, I ran to the special woods Lily liked. The woods smelled like rain and dirt. I yelled Lily's name until my voice got scratchy. I saw birds and bunnies, but no Lily. When my tummy rumbled, I sat on a rock to eat my snack. That's when I saw something blue stuck on a bush. Lily's favorite shrub was blue. I followed bent grass and footprints to the old playhouse by the water. My heart went boom boom in my chest. Lily, I said quietly, opening the squeaky door. The playhouse was empty except for some smushed leaves. There was a paper on the floor. My hands wiggled as I picked it up, one of the important papers Lily talked about. Outside, thunder made a loud noise. Rain started falling as I went home holding the paper tight. The grown-ups were back when I got there. Their faces told me they didn't find Lily either. Then Father saw what I had. Where'd you get that? He asked in a serious voice. I told them about the playhouse. Father made angry hands when he saw the paper. She was going to the big city, he said. Probably hid there when it got stormy. The nice lady started crying quiet tears. We should tell the police, she said. Father shook his head. You know who the police listened to? That night, the rain got really loud. Bright lights flashed outside. I stayed awake listening to the wind going whoosh. In the morning, the grumpy man came to our door. His shoes were dirty. The boss wants you by the river, he mumbled, not looking at us. My tummy felt funny as we walked through wet grass. The river was bathed in fast from all the rain. Some people were standing together. The policeman held his hat. The mean boss looked very serious. Then I saw why they were there. A little hand peeking out from under a blanket. Blue cloth. The nice lady made a sad noise. Father caught her when her legs stopped working. The policeman said something about accidents and fast water, but I couldn't understand. I couldn't stop looking at that hand. Lily's hand. The same hand that fixed my hair when it got messy. The hand that threw the bad man's money away. The mean boss stepped forward. Very sad accident, he said in a smooth voice. She must have fallen in the dark. Father suddenly jumped at him. The grumpy man and others held Father back. The mean boss didn't even blink. Be careful, the mean boss said coldly, unless you want to be buried too. The nice lady hugged me tight, shaking. I wanted to yell and kick, but I just stood there as they put Lily in a wagon. That night, Father drank his special drink at the table. The nice lady rocked in her chair. Not seeing anything, I climbed into Lily's bed and hummed her pillow. It still smelled like her flowers. Later, I heard the door open. I peeked out and saw Father walking toward the mean boss's big house with something shiny. I knew what would happen. I should have stopped him, but I didn't. I just watched him disappear into the night. A loud bang came later, then two more. In the morning, they brought Father back in a wagon too. The nice lady didn't cry this time. She just sat very still. The mean boss came that afternoon. He had a bandage on his arm. Leave before dark, he said, or you'll be with them. As he walked away, I saw him walk funny. Father heard him at least. We packed our things. The nice lady moved like a sleepy person. I put Lily's special paper under my shirt, right where my heart is. When the sun was going down, we walked away from our home. I didn't look back, but as we walked, I made a promise inside my head. One day, I would make the mean boss sorry. Not now, not soon, but one day, and he would know it was me. The dirt road stretched forever in front of us. My feet hurt from walking, but the nice lady said we couldn't stop yet. We had to get far away before nighttime. The small bag I carried felt heavier with every step, just a blanket, some crackers, and the special paper hidden under my shirt. The sun was going down when we reached a little bridge. We can rest here, the nice lady said. Her voice sounded tired, like she'd used up all her words. We crawled under the bridge where nobody could see us. The ground was hard and cold, but I was too sleepy to care. Eat this, she said, breaking our last cracker in half. I could tell she wasn't hungry because she gave me the bigger piece. As I chewed the dry cracker, I touched the paper through my shirt. I didn't tell the nice lady about it. Some things hurt too much to talk about. The next morning, my legs felt wobbly, but we kept walking. Big trucks zoomed past, making dust clouds that made us cough. Sometimes the nice lady would wave her hand at them, but nobody stopped. After 3 days of walking, we came to a town with real sidewalks and streetlights. My tummy growled when I smelled hamburgers cooking somewhere. The nice lady squeezed my hand. Stay right here, she said, leaving me on a bench outside a colorful store. I watched people walk by, moms pushing strollers, workers carrying tools, kids licking ice cream cones. They all looked happy and clean, not like us with our dirty clothes and tired faces. A police officer stopped in front of me. You waiting for someone, Chid? He asked. I just nodded, too scared to talk. He looked at me funny but kept walking. The nice lady came back with a small bag. Look what I got, she whispered, showing me 2 bananas and a water bottle. We sat behind a store to eat, hiding like mice. That night, we slept behind a church where the grass was soft. The nice lady told me stories about when Lily was little, about how she used to carry me around like a baby doll. We both cried a little, but it was the good kind of crying that makes your heart feel lighter. In the morning, a man in a uniform stopped near us. You folks need help? He asked. His uniform wasn't police, it was green with patches on the arms. The nice lady stood up quickly. We're fine, thank you, she said in her careful voice, but the man didn't leave. My name's Sergeant Miller, he said, kneeling down to my level. I work at the youth center down the street. You look like you could use some breakfast. My tummy growled again, loud enough to make him smile. The nice lady looked at me, then nodded. Just breakfast, she said. The youth center was warm and smelled like pancakes. While we ate, Sergeant Miller told us about a special school for kids who need help. It's run by the Army, he explained. Good education, warm beds, and 3 meals a day. The nice lady's eyes got watery. Would they take him? She asked softly. Of course, Sergeant Miller said, and we can help find you a job nearby too. I didn't understand everything, but I understood the look on the nice lady's face, the first real hope I'd seen since that terrible day by the river. As we walked to see the school, I slipped my hand into the nice lady's. Will I learn how to be strong there? I asked. She squeezed my fingers. Yes, sweetheart, strong enough for anything. The school building was big and red with a flag out front. Kids in matching shirts were playing basketball outside. It didn't look scary at all. That night at the shelter, while the nice lady talked to the social worker, I took out Lily's paper. In the moonlight coming through the window, I traced my finger over the words I couldn't read yet. I won't forget, I whispered to the paper, and I'll make it right. Then I carefully folded it back up and put it in my pocket right next to my heart where it belonged. The gates of the school looked taller than anything I'd ever seen. I clutched the nice lady's hand as we walked up the long driveway, my feet crunching on the gravel. The big red building had so many windows they looked like eyes watching me. Kids in blue shirts ran around outside, laughing and shouting. Are you scared? The nice lady asked, squeezing my fingers. I shook my head, but my stomach felt full of butterflies. The last time I'd been around so many kids was before everything changed. Sergeant Miller met us at the front doors. Ready for your tour, champ? He asked, smiling down at me. The inside smelled like cleaning spray and lunch meat. We walked down shiny hallways past classrooms where kids sat at desks, their voices rising and falling like music. One room had computers blinking with colorful lights. Another had kids painting big pictures on easels. This is the dormitory, Sergeant Miller said, opening a door to a huge room with rows of beds. Each one had a blue blanket tucked tight like a present. This will be your bed right here. He patted one near the window. I looked up at the nice lady. Her eyes were shiny but she was smiling. "It's wonderful," she whispered. Next came the cafeteria, where the lunch ladies let me try chocolate milk. It was so cold and sweet it made my teeth tingle. Then the playground with its tall jungle gym and basketball courts. "Do you think you'd like to live here?" Sergeant Miller asked as we walked back to the office. I looked at the nice lady first. She nodded encouragingly. "Yes, please," I said softly. The paperwork took forever. The nice lady signed so many forms her hand must have hurt. When it was finally done, Sergeant Miller shook my hand. "Welcome to Brighton Academy, son. They'll pick out your uniforms." A lady with kind eyes named Mrs. Reynolds took me to a room full of clothes. She helped me try on blue pants and shirts until we found ones that fit. "These are your school clothes," she explained, "and these are for playtime, and these special ones are for Sunday services." I never had so many new things at once. The shirts still had tags on them and smelled like the store. When we came back, the nice lady was talking quietly with Sergeant Miller, apartment just 2 blocks away. He was saying, "The cleaning job starts Monday." She saw me and opened her arms. I ran into them, suddenly not caring if anyone thought I was a baby for hugging my. "What should I call you now?" I asked, my face buried in her shoulder. At the cabin, she was just the lady who took care of us. But she wasn't just that anymore. She pulled back to look at me, tears making her eyelashes stick together. "How about Aunt Sarah?" she asked. "Would that be okay?" "Aunt Sarah," I repeated. It fit like my new shoe, strange at first, but good. The hardest part was saying goodbye that evening. Aunt Sarah knelt to button my new coat. "I'll visit every Sunday," she promised, "and you can write me letters when you learn how." She pressed something into my hand, a small photo of Lily smiling in her blue dress. "For your pocket," she whispered. Then she was walking away, her shoulders shaking just a little. Mrs. Reynolds put a gentle hand on my back. "Let's get you settled, dear." The other boys arrived just before bedtime. There were 12 of us in the dorm room. Some were loud, pushing and joking. Others were quiet like me, watching everything with big eyes. "This is Ethan," Mrs. Reynolds told the group. "It's his first night. Who wants to show him the ropes?" A tall boy named Marcus raised his hand. He had freckles across his nose and a gap between his front teeth. "I got him," he said. "Marcus helped me make my bed military style. The sheets so tight you could bounce a coin on them." He showed me where to put my toothbrush in the bathroom, and which shower had the hottest water. "Where you from?" he asked as we brushed our teeth at the long sinks. I spat out my toothpaste. "Nowhere now," I said. It was true. The cabin wasn't ours anymore. Marcus nodded like he understood. "I'm from nowhere too," he said. Then he grinned, showing his tooth gap. "But now we're from Brighton, best school in the state." Lights out came at exactly 8 o'clock. The room went dark except for the exit sign glowing red above the door. All around me, I heard whispers and giggles until Mrs. Reynolds came in with her final warning. "Gentlemen, alone in my new bed." I took out Lily's photo and the folded paper. In the dim red light, I could barely see them, but holding them made me feel less alone. The next morning, a bell rang so loud I nearly fell out of bed. Marcus laughed as he pulled on his clothes. "Wake-up call," he said. "You'll get used to it. Everything happened by bells here. Breakfast bell, class bell, playtime bell, lunch bell. Like magic, food appeared on trays, teachers stood at chalkboards, and playground balls bounced exactly when they were supposed to. My first class was reading with Mrs. Pepper. She had gray hair and glasses that slid down her nose. "Let's see what you know, Ethan," she said, handing me a book. The letters swam on the page. At the cabin, Lily had taught me some, but it was hard without regular school. I'm not very good," I admitted. Mrs. Pepper smiled. "That's why we're here," she said. "Today we start with a letter A by lunch." My brain felt full. We'd learned A, B, and C, and how they sounded together. My hand ached from practicing, writing them over and over. The afternoon brought math counting blocks, science looking at leaves, and character development where Sergeant Miller taught us about honesty by telling funny stories about his army days. The best part was free time before dinner. Marcus and some other boys were playing basketball. "Come on, new kid," Marcus called. I'd never played before, but Marcus didn't care. "Just throw it at the hoop," he said, tossing me the ball. When I somehow made a basket, all the boys cheered like I'd won a trophy. My face got hot, but in a good way. That night after lights out, Marcus whispered from the next bed, "You okay?" I thought about Lily, about father, about the mean boss. Then I thought about Aunt Sarah coming Sunday, and Mrs. Pepper's kind eyes, and the way the basketball had swished through the net. "Yeah," I whispered back. "I'm okay." As I drifted to sleep, I realized something strange for the first time in forever. I hadn't thought about revenge all day. The Sunday bell rang differently, softer, like it knew people were sleeping in. I'd been awake for hours, watching the sunlight crawl across the dormitory floor. Today, Aunt Sarah was visiting. My stomach fluttered like it was full of the butterflies. We studied in science class. I dressed carefully in my special Sunday clothes, the ones Mrs. Reynolds said were for important days. My fingers fumbled with the buttons until Marcus leaned over and helped. "First visit day is the worst," he said, through a mouthful of toothpaste. "You miss them so much it hurts your teeth." The dining hall smelled like cinnamon rolls instead of the usual oatmeal. I sat with Marcus and his little sister Jazzy, who'd come with their foster mom. Jazzy kept stealing my bacon until Marcus tickled her into giggling. Then I saw her Aunt Sarah standing in the doorway in a yellow dress I'd never seen before. Her hair was down instead of in its usual bun. She looked pretty different. "Ethan," she knelt just in time to catch me running full speed into her arms. She smelled like lemons and something new, store-bought perfume maybe. For hours, we did all the things I'd saved up in my mind to show her. The reading corner where I could now sound out easy books. The art room where my finger painting of our old cabin hung on the wall. The playground where Marcus and I had built a fort from scrap wood. And Sarah's eyes got misty when she saw my bed made up tight with hospital corners. "Your father would be proud," she whispered, smoothing the blanket we ate picnic style on. The lawn, the fried chicken she bought still warm in its grease-spotted paper. Between bites, she told me about her tiny apartment above the laundromat, about her job cleaning offices at night. "There's something else," she said, her voice dropping. She glanced around before continuing. "I've been talking to people about what happened back home." My chicken turned to dust in my mouth. "Not the police," she hurried to add, "but there's a reporter from the city paper asking questions. A woman named Miss Green. She wants to." Sarah, a sharp voice cut through the air. Sergeant Miller stood stiffly nearby. "A word, please." Their whispered conversation looked serious. Aunt Sarah's shoulders hunched while Sergeant Miller kept glancing at me. When they finished, she came back with a forced smile. "Everything's fine," she said, handing me an apple. "Let's not spoil our day." But something had changed. The sunlight didn't feel as warm. After goodbyes that lasted 3 hugs each, I watched Aunt Sarah walk away, her yellow dress bright against the gray sidewalk. Sergeant Miller put a heavy hand on my shoulder. "Your aunt's a brave woman," he said in his no-nonsense voice. "But some fights need waiting until you're grown. Understand?" I nodded, but that night I took out Lily's folded paper again. The words still swam before my eyes, but I recognized one now, Blackwell, the name that haunted my dreams. Monday boxing class, something the older boys talked about like it was magic. Coach Riggs, a mountain of a man with a flat nose. "Line us up in the gym, fighting's last resort," he barked. "But every man needs to know how." He demonstrated the stance, feet apart, hands up, chin down. When we paired up, Marcus wiggled his eyebrows at me. "Go easy, new kid," he joked, then yelped when I accidentally jabbed his shoulder too hard. "Control," Coach Riggs boomed. "Power means nothing without control." Something clicked in my brain. The anger I carried since the river had somewhere to go now, channeled into precise movements instead of helpless rage. By the end of class, my arms burned, but I'd never felt so. That lightness disappeared at Mail Call Wednesday. A letter came from Marcus from his foster dad, just a scribbled note and a dollar bill. Marcus pretended not to care, but that night I heard him sniffling into his pillow. Without thinking, I slipped out of bed and into his. We didn't talk, just sat shoulder to shoulder in the dark until his breathing evened out. Friday's reading lesson changed everything. Mrs. Pepper clapped when I read a whole page without help. "Ethan, you're a natural," she beamed, sticking a gold star on my paper. Emboldened, I pulled out Lily's folded document. Can you help me with this?" Her smile faded as she unfolded the creased paper. Her eyes darted across the legal jargon. "Where'd you get this, Ethan?" "It's my sister's," I said simply. She read in silence for what felt like forever. Finally, she pointed to a highlighted section. "This says the land Blackwell claimed wasn't his to take. There were forged signatures. Here," she tapped another part, "and this shows payments that never reached the families." The words swirled in my head: fraud, illegal seizure, court injunction, but the meaning was clear. Blackwell had stolen our home, and Lily had known. Mrs. Pepper refolded the paper carefully. "This is very important, Ethan, and very dangerous. May I make a copy for safekeeping?" I hesitated, then nodded. While she was at the copier, I memorized the words she'd said: forged signatures, illegal seizure. Big words for big crimes. That weekend, it rained so hard the playground flooded. We built paper boats and raced them in the rushing gutters. Marcus's sank immediately, making everyone laugh, and Sarah didn't come Sunday. A note arrived instead: work emergency. So sorry. Next week for sure. I tried not to mind, but the chicken sandwiches in the dining hall tasted like cardboard. Monday's boxing class turned serious. Coach Riggs showed us how to throw a proper punch from your legs, not your arms. Marcus said I sparred gently, but when another boy shoved me from behind, something snapped. I walled and landed a punch square on his nose. Not hard, but enough to make him yell. Instead of yelling, Coach Riggs pulled me aside. That temper of yours, he said quietly, it's not your enemy, but you've got to ride it like a wild horse, not let it ride you. That night, I added new words to my glowing list: control, precision, patience. Wednesday brought us surprises. First, my reading test came back with an A+. Second, Sergeant Miller called me to his office where Aunt Sarah sat with a bruised cheek. I'm fine, she insisted when I gasped, just a stumble in the dark, but her eyes told a different story. Sergeant Miller cleared his throat. Your aunt's been asking questions in the wrong places. It's not safe. Aunt Sarah squeezed my hand. Miss Green says the documents Lily took are key evidence, but we need more time to know. Sergeant Miller's fist hit the desk. This ends now. For the boys' safety, the ride back to the dorms was silent. At bedtime, I gave Marcus Lily's photo to hold. Just for tonight, I whispered. He studied it under his blanket with a flashlight. She's pretty, he murmured. You look like her. For some reason, that made the knot in my chest loosen just a little. Friday's mail call included a package, a book from Aunt Sarah about famous boxers. Tucked inside was a note: learn well. We'll need your strength someday. That night after, lights out, I whispered to Marcus, I'm going to be the strongest boxer here. He snorted. Better than Rodriguez. No way. Just watch me, I said, and for the first time since coming to Brighton, I dreamed of the future instead of the past. The morning of the Brighton Academy boxing tournament dawned gray and drizzly. I woke before the bell, my stomach twisting like one of the jump ropes we used in training. Today was the day Coach Riggs would pick the junior team, the day I could prove myself. Marcus was already awake, pretending to read a comic book. You're gonna puke, aren't you? He said without looking up. I threw my pillow at him. Am not. The truth was, I hadn't kept breakfast down for 3 days, not since seeing Aunt Sarah's bruised face. The memory made my hands curl into fist thunder. The blankets, the dormitory buzzed with tournament energy. Boys traded boasts while lacing up their sneakers. Rodriguez, the reigning champion from the senior dorm, held court by the showers, demonstrating his famous right hook on a towel. Don't stare, Marcus muttered, pulling me away. He'll take it as a challenge. The gym smelled of sweat and leather when we filed in. Bleachers had been unfolded, a proper ring set up center floor. Coach Riggs stood by the ropes, arms crossed, watching us with his usual stone-faced expression. Tournament rules, he barked. 3 rounds, light contact only. Anyone throwing hard punches sits out the season. His eyes lingered on me as he said this. Winners get a spot on the travel team. The first matches passed in a blur. Marcus won his bout against a skinny redhead from the East Dorm. I barely had time to cheer before my name was called. Ethan Carter vs. Dominic Pierce. Dominic was a head taller, with arms like the branches of the oak trees back home. As we tapped gloves, he smirked. Try not to cry, new kid. The bell rang. Everything Coach Riggs taught us flew out of my head. Dominic came at me swinging, his fists like sledgehammers. I ducked, weaved, took a glancing blow to the ribs that knocked the wind from me. Then something strange happened. The crowd noise faded. Dominic's smirk slowed, like honey dripping off a spoon, and suddenly I wasn't in the ring anymore. I was back by the river, watching Blackwell's men drag my father away. My body moved without thinking. Jab, right cross, left hook. The combinations flowed like water, each punch landing with perfect precision. Dominic's eyes widened as he stumbled back. Control. Coach Riggs' voice cut through my trance. I pulled the next punch, letting Dominic recover. The bell rang. I'd won the round. Between rounds, Marcus shoved water at me. What was that? He hissed. You are like a machine. I couldn't explain it. The anger I'd bottled up had found a way out, channeled through my fists but controlled. Focused, the next 2 rounds passed in a haze. Dominic fought harder, landing a solid punch to my cheek that made my vision sparkle. But I kept moving, kept breathing, and when the final bell rang, my hand was raised in victory. Coach Riggs studied me as I left the ring. See me after, was all he said. The rest of the tournament passed in a happy blur. Marcus made the team too, along with 4 others. We were celebrating with stolen cookies from the kitchen when Sergeant Miller appeared in the doorway. Carter. Office. Now, the walk felt longer than usual. Had someone seen us take the cookies? Or worse, had something happened to Aunt Sarah? The office held a surprise. Aunt Sarah sat stiffly in a chair, her yellow dress replaced by a plain gray sweater. Beside her was a woman I didn't recognize. Shop suit, sharper eyes, a notepad, already in hand. "Ethan," Aunt Sarah said brightly, "this is Miss Green, the reporter I told you about." Miss Green leaned forward. "Your sister was very brave, Ethan. The document she took could put some powerful people in jail." Sergeant Miller cleared his throat. "Miss Green has agreed to keep Ethan's name out of it. For now," the reporter nodded. "But I need to understand. What you saw that day by the river. Every detail matters." My mouth went dry. The memories rushed back. The blanket, the blue fabric, Blackwell's cold eyes. Aunt Sarah squeezed my hand as I spoke, haltingly at first, then in a flood. "About the coin Grady gave me. About Lily's torn dress. About the way the sheriff wouldn't meet our eyes. Ms. Green wrote furiously. When I finished, she closed her notebook. With a snap. "We'll need that original document soon, but not until we have all our ducks in a row." After they left, Sergeant Miller knelt before me. "This is serious business, son. If Blackwell finds out you're involved, I'm not scared." I lied. That night, Marcus and I snuck into the empty gym. The boxing ring loomed in the moonlight, the ropes casting strange shadows. "Show me that move again," Marcus whispered. "The one where you went all ninja on Dominic." We sparred quietly, our socked feet whispering across the floor. Between rounds, Marcus hesitated. "There's something I gotta tell you." He led me to the equipment closet and pulled a folded newspaper from his waistband. The headline screamed, "Local businessman accused of land fraud." Below it was a grainy photo of Blackwell. "My uncle works at the printing press," Marcus said. "This comes out tomorrow. Your aunt's the one who gave them the proof." My hands shook holding the paper. After all this time, someone was finally fighting back. The next morning, the school buzzed with the news. Boys clustered around copies of the paper, reading aloud about forged deeds and missing money. My chest swelled with pride that Sarah had done this. Lily's sacrifice meant something, but by lunchtime, the mood shifted. Sergeant Miller called an assembly, his face grim. "Some of you may have seen today's paper," he began. "I want to remind everyone that Brighton Academy stays out of local politics. Any questions or comments about this matter should be directed to me." His eyes found mine in the crowd. The unspoken warning was clear: stay quiet, stay safe. That afternoon, boxing practice was canceled. Instead, Coach Riggs took me aside to the weight room. "Thought you might need to blow off steam," he said, handing me gloves. For an hour, I pounded the heavy bag until my shoulders screamed. Sweat dripped into my eyes, mixing with tears I wouldn't let fall. Coach watched silently, only speaking. When I finally collapsed onto the mat, anger's like fire. "Kid, controlled, it can forge steel. Uncontrolled, it burns down houses." He tossed me a towel. "Which kind are you gonna be?" I didn't have an answer. Not yet. Dinner was a quiet affair. Even Marcus kept his jokes to himself. As we lined up for showers, Rodriguez blocked my path. "Your family's causing a lot of trouble," he muttered. "Better watch your back." Marcus shoved between us. "Leave him alone." The tension crackled like lightning before a storm. Then Rodriguez smirked and walked away. But the threat lingered. At night, I lay awake long after lights out. The newspaper article changed everything. Blackwell would be angry, and angry men made mistakes. A soft knock came at the dormitory door. Mrs. Reynolds entered, her usual cheerful self replaced by quiet urgency. "Ethan, pack a small bag. Your aunt's coming to get you." My heart leapt into my throat. "Why? What happened?" Mrs. Reynolds wouldn't meet my eyes. "There was a fire at her apartment building. She's fine," she added quickly, "but the police think it wasn't an accident." As I stuffed clothes into my backpack, my fingers brushed Lily's photo and the folded deed, the two things I'd never let out of my sight. Marcus appeared beside me, shoving something into my hand, a pocket knife. "For protection," he whispered. The hallway seemed endless as Mrs. Reynolds led me to the office. Aunt Sarah stood by the window, her face pale under a new bruise. Miss Green was there too, arguing with Sergeant Miller. "Too dangerous now," the sergeant was saying. "We'll keep him safe here." Miss Green shook her head. "Blackwell's men are watching the school. We have a safe house." "No," Aunt Sarah's voice surprised everyone. "He's coming with me. We're leaving town tonight." Sergeant Miller started to protest, but the look in Aunt Sarah's eyes silenced him. She held out her hand to me. "Just for a little while, Ethan, until things calm down." As we walked to her waiting car, the weight of the pocket knife in my jeans reminded me of Marcus's warning. This wasn't over, not even close. The car engine roared to life. Aunt Sarah's hands trembled on the wheel as we pulled away from Brighton Academy, the only safe place I'd known since losing everything. "Where are we going?" I asked as the school gates disappeared behind us, and Sarah's jaw tightened. Somewhere Blackwell will never find us. The highway stretched ahead, dark and endless. Somewhere out there, Blackwell was fighting to save his empire, and we were running. But as the miles passed, a strange certainty settled over me. This wasn't just running away. It was the start of something new. The motel room smelled like old cigarettes and bleach. I sat on the scratchy bedspread watching Aunt Sarah pace, her phone pressed to her ear. For 3 weeks we'd been moving from town to town, sleeping in places with flickering neon signs and sticky floors. Are you sure it's safe? Aunt Sarah whispered into the phone. Her free hand twisted the curtain aside to peer into the parking lot. No, we haven't seen anyone following us, but the person on the other end cut her off. Aunt Sarah's shoulders slumped. All right, tomorrow then. She hung up and turned to me, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Miss Green found something. We're meeting her at sunrise. That night I dreamed of Lily. She stood by the river in her blue dress, pointing to something in the water. When I woke, my pillow was damp with sweat and tears. We left before dawn, our headlights cutting through the fog. Aunt Sarah kept checking a rearview mirror, her fingers tight on the wheel. Remember the plan, she said for the 10th time. If anything happens, you run straight to the police station we passed yesterday. The meeting spot was an old diner on Route 17. Miss Green sat in a back booth, the coffee steaming in front of her. She looked different, no shop suit, just jeans and a hoodie. Her eyes darted to the door when we entered. Sarah, Ethan, she pushed a manila envelope across the table. It's all here. Bank records, forged deeds, even witness statements from other families Blackwell cheated. And Sarah opened the envelope with trembling hands. Is it enough? Miss Green's smile was grim. Enough to put him away for 20 years. She lowered her voice. But there's more. The property your cabin was on, it wasn't legally his to take. There's a clause. The bell over the diner door jingled. 3 men in suits walk in, their shoes shiny against the cracked linoleum. Miss Green went pale. Don't turn around, she whispered. Blackwell's lawyer just walked in. My heart hammered, so loud I was sure they could hear it. Aunt Sarah's hand found mine under the table, squeezing hard. Ms. Green slid a car key across the table. Blue sedan out back. Go now. We moved slowly, casually, past the counter where pies sat under glass domes, past the old man reading a newspaper, then through the kitchen door, past surprise cooks, and out the back exit. The blue sedan started, with a cough. Aunt Sarah reversed so fast we nearly hit a dumpster. As we peeled onto the highway, a black SUV pulled out behind us. They're following, I said, my voice higher than I meant it to be. Aunt Sarah's jaw tightened. She took a sharp turn onto a country road, the sedan's tires kicking up gravel. The SUV kept pace, gaining ground. Seatbelt. Aunt Sarah snapped. We flew past cornfields and dilapidated barns. The SUV loomed in the rearview, close enough now that I could see the driver's sunglasses. Then a miracle. A police car appeared at an intersection up ahead. Aunt Sarah slammed on the horn, flashing her lights wildly. The cop car's siren whooped to life. The SUV braked hard, skidding onto the shoulder. In a cloud of dust. We didn't stop to watch. Hours later, safely hidden in a different motel, Aunt Sarah spread Miss Green's documents across the bed. Look, she said, pointing to a highlighted section, the land clause. If the original owners can prove residency before Blackwell's claim, the seizure was illegal. I frowned. But our cabin is gone. Aunt Sarah's smile was fierce. The land isn't. And look here, Lily found us before the accident. She showed me a faded photograph of our cabin with a date stamp from years before Blackwell's claim. We can get it back, Ethan, all of it. That night, while Aunt Sarah slept, I took out Marcus's pocket knife and practiced my boxing stances in the bathroom mirror. The boy staring back at me was different from the one who'd arrived at Brighton Academy. Taller, harder, angrier. The next morning brought shocking news. Ms. Green's article had run in 3 major papers. Blackwell's face was everywhere, his smug smile replaced by a glum mugshot. Local tycoon arrested for fraud and bribery. The headline screamed, and Sarah cried when she read it. Great heaving sobs that shook her whole body. I held her tight, both of us thinking of Lily, of father, of everything we'd lost. 2 days later, Sergeant Miller called. It's over, he said. Blackwell's in custody. His men are flipping on him. You can come home. Home. The word felt strange in my mouth. Brighton Academy looked just as we'd left it. Marcus nearly tackled me when I stepped out of the car, his gap-toothed grin wider than ever. You're famous, he yelled, waving a newspaper with my name in it. The boy whose evidence helped take down a criminal. Life settled into a new rhythm. Aunt Sarah went to the small house near the academy. I returned to classes, to boxing, to being a kid as much as I could after everything. The court case took months. We testified via video, my hands shaking as I described that day by the river, when a judge finally ruled 25 years for Blackwell, restitution for the families, and Sarah collapsed in relief. On my 14th birthday, we took a trip to the old property. The cabin was gone, but the land was ours again. We stood where the porch used to be, the grass tickling our ankles. I think we should rebuild, Aunt Sarah said softly. Not the same, but something new. I knelt and pressed my palm to the earth, feeling the heartbeat of the place that had shaped me. Somewhere in the trees, a bird sang clear and bright and, unafraid. That night back at Brighton, I tipped two things above my bed: Lily's photo and my acceptance letter to the Junior Military Academy. The road ahead was long, but for the first time, it felt like mine to walk. As I lay in bed listening to Marcus's snores, I realized something: revenge hadn't been the answer after all. Justice was, and I'd helped bring it. The boy who'd lost everything had finally found his way home.